Hello and welcome, dear listeners, viewers, members of the Sickle Cell Disease community, warriors, stakeholders, policy leaders, partners, and supporters from across the world. Welcome to the third edition of your Sickle Cell Disease Awareness podcast, Sickle Cell Role Models and Mentors. Today we have as guest a lady, an educator, a graphic illustrator, and one warrior with a powerful story. Her name, Mrs. Laurel Bromont Palmer. Stay tuned. Good afternoon and welcome, Mrs. Laurel Bromont Palmer. It's a pleasure to have you in this edition of Sickle Cell Role Models and Mentors, a sickle cell disease podcast that was designed and initiated to raise awareness on sickle cell disease, to create a system for patients and people within the sickle cell community to get role models and tap from the knowledge of the guests, consider them as mentors, and use the knowledge that they pull out from each edition to boost and develop their own lives in different ways. So thank you once again for joining us in this edition. I'll just let you present yourself to our guests, to our audience, to our listenings. Hello, dear listeners. And just let us know what's your background, what's your relationship to sickle cell disease, and who is our guest of the day without me trying to let the cat out of the bag.
Okay, so my name, hi, yes, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Mrs. Laurel Brumont Palmer, and I'm 61 years old. I'm 62 at the end of the year. I was diagnosed with HBSS at the age of 3. I used to work in a high school for 20 years. Just taken ill health retirement 2 years ago. This September will be 2 years. And I achieved a BA honours in graphic design, visual communication and illustration at the mature age of 51 years old, where I graduated with a first class honours degree. I'm also a graphic artist, illustrator, sickle cell advocate, mother, grandmother, wife, you name it. I've done it. Pleasure to be on the podcast today talking to all of you.
Wow. I hope I get to be at that level.
You will, you can.
Someday.
You can,
I'm
believe
trotting
it.
along bit by bit.
No, you can.
So it's great to have you. So stigma is one of the issues that a lot of people who live with sickle cell disease, even caregivers, encounter and also dread. What has been your experience with stigma over the 61 years of your life, soon to be 62 years?
Okay, so to be quite honest, I've been asked this question quite often, and I have to be extremely honest. I have been extremely blessed because I've not really had to deal with the issue of stigma in a huge way. I think stigma is caused by a lack of understanding or knowledge or empathy. I think that is what causes stigma, and I think misleading information or stereotyping because of a lack of awareness is what causes a lot of stigma, racism as well included. And I think by raising awareness and also by educating people. I think a lot of the stigma can be maybe not eradicated completely, but I think stigma can be lessened. I think it's how we have to be dealing with it, as even if I haven't really experienced it myself, when I have when I have received it, like for example, I've been in a situation where I've been in the hospital, and even the nursing staff think that the way I'm screaming in pain is being exaggerated. You're just being awkward. It's because if you don't understand, if you're not experiencing that pain, if you're not experiencing what that person's going through, it's very difficult to actually understand and have empathy. So although stigma is something that people always ask me about stigma, I think the way you have to deal with stigma is in a way where, a person doesn't understand. I think if you fight stigma with anger and rage, and I don't think that's the right way to do it, to be quite honest. I think if you fight stigma with raising awareness and trying to raise understanding and trying to explain in all kind of means what you're going through, I think we can fight stigma.
Okay. So you relatively had, I'd say, much of your experience with very minimal stigma. But did,
Mm.
in one way or another, your experience with, or your life with sickle cell disease, did it prompt you or maybe deter you from being what you wanted to be if you look at yourself now? Um, would you say sickle cell has in one way or another contributed to where you are now or shifted
Oh,
you from the dream
100%.
place you wanted to be?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Because although I say I'm blessed that I didn't have a lot of stigma. I still the kind of stigma I really experienced was growing up in a family of six where my parents didn't understand what sickle cell disorder was, and I was born in 1963, and sickle cell was something that wasn't really known or spoken about. So when I was diagnosed, I was one of, I think maybe I met one other person in the hospital who was a sickle cell patient, and I was shocked because I actually thought I was the only one in the whole world that lived with this condition. So I think the stigma I faced was that nobody knew about it, not even my parents. So I was wrapped in cotton wool. I was told I couldn't do this, I wouldn't do that. I couldn't exert myself, I couldn't have children, I couldn't do all the kind of everyday things that people would do in life to get somewhere in life, I couldn't do. So I thought I was going to mount. I didn't think I was going to have a life. I lived a life waiting for death. I know it sounds really harsh, but I lived a life thinking I'm going to die soon because they've said I'm not going to live till that age. They've said that I'm not going to have a career. They've said that. So I never lived, I lived day to day. I lived a day at a time, constantly going into hospital, constantly having crisis. I did not, if anybody told me that I was going to be where I am today and achieve what I have achieved today, I would have said, no, you're lying.
Wow. Wow. You lived for death. That's one statement. It like kind of blows one's mind when you get to hear that. Yet here you are,
Yes.
graphic artist, illustrator, and did your health play into your choice of a career when you realized you could at least do something?
Oh, yes,
And how
100%.
was the road
When,
to getting there?
so, growing up and actually thinking that you're not going to amount to anything is really difficult. It's really difficult to actually see, looking in front of you and seeing that, my life actually means nothing. And, there's no point in me doing anything or putting my energy into anything because I'm just sitting here waiting to die. Because basically that was my outlook. That was the way that I thought. And so in primary school, it was hard. When I went to high school, it was difficult. I missed my exams. I got marked by my coursework. But the one thing that I had was the gift and the love of drawing. And that gift and love of drawing followed me from birth until now. It wasn't a skill that I went to college or university to learn. It was a gift skill that I was born with, a gift from God, I call it. And everything I did, I drew. Every moment I got, I drew. And then when I actually found out, when I started realizing because of the people and the role models that I had around me, like my father, my husband, who, when my husband stepped into my life, he was like, you can do all things. You can do anything that you want to do. And I didn't believe that. So when I went into the job that I went into it really hesitant. I didn't think they would employ me because this was my first real job. And I didn't think they would employ me. And then I realized that, hold on, people are not actually looking at me because of my sickle cell. People are looking at me because of my gift and what I can do. And that was the importance. And that's when I realized that sickle cell did not control everything. And that's the reason why, from being working in a high school, then I decided when I took ill health retirement that I was going to use my art to raise awareness and to create my visual illustrations to do things that I really wanted to do that were always in the background. So yeah, sickle cell definitely influenced it 100% at the career that I went into, definitely, because it was there. The gift existed there, and I think it's important to find something, the things that are within you that are not sickle cell, because we all have them, and work on those things.
Wow. So you had a career before and you took like 360-degree turn to get to another career.
It wasn't even that, it wasn't even that I took a 360-degree turn because the career that I was doing was in an art
Okay.
department. So my work was always based around art. It was always based around being a creative. So what I did was I took that creative skill, and that's where I went in employment. I deliberately went and applied for a job that was in a school that was in an art based career. So I deliberately looked for that. I mean, when I say I deliberately looked for it, I didn't look for it, it found me. I always say that that job found me. That job was from God because I wasn't even really looking. I was looking, but when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my God, that's got my name on it," you know. And I also believe it's how you put things in the atmosphere. Because before I even was offered that job, I looked at the description, the job description, and I looked at what they were asking for, and I said, "That is me. That is my job. I am going to get this job. It's me. It's mine already."
So experiencing or being told as a child you can't do much, being so cocooned that you don't even trust yourself to break forth and do something, and later on deciding to break through all of that and actually going out there and doing it. What advice would you give to lots of young people living with sickle cell disease, or to parents who even now still do the same thing, cocoon their children and tell them you can't do anything? What would you tell them if you could give them a message?
I mean, if I have to give a message according to what I have been through, it's, you know, sickle cell disorder is not just, it doesn't just affect the body. It doesn't just affect, it doesn't just affect us with pain. It affects us mentally. And what we maybe don't realize is that the way we speak to our children, the way we as children speak to ourselves is so important. It really is important. So the way my parents raised me up, I was one of six children, and the way my siblings treated me was, my siblings treated me with love and care. They made me realize that, yes, they made me know that I was different, but they didn't make me feel different, as in the way they treated me. There were certain things I couldn't do. There were certain things I had to keep away from, but they still treated me with kindness and love. And I think we have to treat ourselves with kindness and love, because this sickle cell disorder is traumatic. It is. I mean, I'm trying to describe it as I'm speaking, but it actually makes you feel like you are not in control. So don't try and do anything. Be wrapped in cotton wool. But you know what? There is so much out there for every single child. And what the parents need to do, what we need to do as parents, is to just support the child and encourage. Encouragement is so important. Look past the sickle cell. Look past and look and see what else is above the sickle cell. Because I think every single person who is born with sickle cell is gifted in some form of way. And I think the important thing is to first and foremost love yourself. Love yourself, because until you love yourself, you're gonna always think that you're not capable. Love yourself, and parents, love your children in a way where you grow them up to love themselves, even with the battle that they're going through. And listen to them, listen to encourage them to do things, and listen to their dreams, and talk to them about their dreams, and talk to them about a future. Don't just think about the here and now and the today, but talk to them about what they would like to do in the future. What are their loves? What are the things they love to do? And encourage them with little small wins, little small things that they do. See it as a big thing. I think encouragement is a great thing, and encouragement to me is one of the biggest things that got me through my life.
I listen to you, and I feel like I'm somehow listening to my mom because I got to hear this or something similar from my from my mother,
Mm.
who after
Mm.
just getting tired of cocooning me and my four other siblings, just decided, you know what, you guys are just going to have normal lives because you're just normal kids,
Yes,
just like everybody
so
else.
important.
Who other kids will get tummy aches, well, you will get some aches here and
Yeah,
there, but you're normal. You have two hands, two legs, like everybody else. So we
so
just
important.
roll that on, doing everything, you know, but in tiny bits.
Yes. Of course, of course. Also being aware, also being aware, we're not going to shun away from the fact that you are living with a chronic
Yeah,
disorder, and you have to make sure that you do look after yourself, and you have to make sure that you know what you are capable of doing and what you're not capable of doing. But I don't make it define who you are
yeah,
and what you do. Do it. Obviously, you need to pace yourself maybe, and you need to. I think the beauty of having to the beauty of having a chronic illness is you have to really, really reflect on what you can do
yeah,
and what you love. And I think that's the area you need to go into. The area that you love. Don't fight out there for doing things that other people are doing. There is people out there who are lawyers and who do top jobs. But I believe that the little wins make the big
yeah.
wins.
The little wins make big wins. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
really good takeaway. And we will be right back after this break. Hello, have you ever heard about sickle cell disease? Are you a person living with sickle cell disease, or are you caring for someone living with sickle cell disease? Are you wondering how to go about doing this? Well, we may just be able to help you. Read our online magazine, Soul Just Be. Soul Just Be is a sickle cell lifestyle magazine in which we talk about everything that has to do with sickle cell. We talk about living with sickle cell as men or women. We talk about sickle cell complications, and we propose how to live with each of these complications and how to manage it to the best of your abilities. We bring in our doctors to give us advice. We speak about the best kinds of food to eat for our little ones. We speak about love, and we speak about faith in sickle cell disease. We educate the younger ones, and of course, we talk travel. Are you somebody who is a fashionista? Come and read our fashion pages and learn how to dress chic but still keeping warm and keeping yourself healthy and protected so as not to get a sickle cell crisis. Read us on our pages on Cameo. Follow us online. We are Soldiers B, and you can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. Read our pages now. Read Soul Just Be. Hello again, and thank you for joining us. We hope you did enjoy the little break, and we continue with our guest of the day. Okay, so in your blog on the UK Sickle Cell Society website, you spoke about getting where you are thanks to enormous faith. So, are you a Christian? And what role has faith played in your life with sickle cell disease?
So, so this question, you see the question
Yeah.
alone, are you Christian? Yeah. I don't actually go around telling people I'm Christian, but I do tell people that I believe
Great.
in God. Yeah. And I think Christianity, as you call it, is I believe it's all about having a relationship with that man, having a relationship with somebody who you know is by you, standing by you all the time, and you can put your faith and trust in him. I was raised as a Catholic. My mom was a Catholic, so I went to church every Sunday. I did my first communion, I did my confirmation, I did all of it, but I did it because I was taught to do it. I was forced to do it. But as I got older, I realized that, I wasn't on this journey by myself. I knew it. I had experiences, even when I was having sickle cell crisis, I had experiences where I knew that
Yeah.
God was with me. I had experiences where I knew I was not alone. I came through really horrendous traumatic crisis with him holding my hand, and I knew and I felt that. So this is not the journey that I am on. I'm not doing it because somebody told me I needed to do it. I felt it for myself and I experienced it for myself. And my faith is a really important part of my life because I know that if it wasn't for God, I would not be here. It was not just the treatments, it wasn't just my perseverance, it was him. I keep saying, and I'll say it again and again, I feel that I was a miracle from where I've come from to where I am today. It could only be by him and my faith.
Did having that feeling that you're not alone, did it make moments like more bearable, if I could use that term? Though lots of things about sickle cell disease are
Yeah.
unbearable,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
did it make
100%.
it bearable? And did you get to use your faith and that hope that you're not on a journey alone? Did it act like a coping mechanism for you over the years?
Oh yeah. Yes, 100%, 100%. And even now today, even now my walk in what I do, in everything that I do, I put God before. In everything that I do, my faith is very, very important to me. And I am part of a church. I'm part of a cell group. And I encourage, just like I believe that I am an encourager. I believe that I use my illustrations and I use my whatever I do. I want to be an encourager. And I do that because of my faith, because I know that God didn't put me in this world to just suffer from, I'm not here just to suffer from this chronic illness and, it's just by chance that you've lived till this age. I don't believe that. I believe that my life has purpose, and I believe that every single warrior's life has purpose, no matter how old you are. I don't care whether you're 5, I don't care whether you're 10, I don't care whether you're 15, whether you're 80. Your life has purpose. You're not here by chance. And I believe that I was put here for a reason. And I believe that that reason is to raise awareness and to let people, especially the younger ones, know that there is hope. Definitely, you have to have hope. If you don't have hope and you only just think on what you're going through at the moment, then you're lost already. Because you know, I remember what I felt like when I was a teenager, when I was always in crisis, when I was in hospital every 2 weeks. I remember I had no hope. I had little hope. I didn't think there was going to be any future for me. And today, when I look at that and I look at what I actually have achieved, I just say thank you, Jesus, because I know that it has to be you that has put certain people in my life, you that has put treatments, and it's because of him. All of it is because of him.
Um, you are you said it. You are in member of a church. You have all of these activities you're doing as part of the church, and then you have work. And how do you balance all of that, life, and all of these
Whoa.
things?
Yeah. Wow. I'll be honest with you, I really don't know. So I'll be honest with you, it has to be the grace of God. One, I always have to give glory to him first. But secondly, I think it's so important to listen
Yeah.
to your body. Because now that, remember I worked for 20 years and I wasn't doing as much in the sickle cell community as what I'm doing now because I couldn't, because obviously I had to concentrate on work and obviously raising a family. And it was hard. It's tough. It's really hard. But I think the key is to just listen to your body and really allow the people around you to realize your capabilities, what you can do, the fact that you have to step back and take time out, the fact that you have to sometimes be able to say, well, no, I can't do that, I'll do it then. It's all about, I do list making. I write a list, and my list could be a list for a month. It could be a list for 6 months. And in that 6 months, those are the things that I want to try and achieve. And I tick them off as I do them. And one can be ticked off. It can take a whole month to tick off that one. It could take 3 months to tick off one. But that way I pace
Mm,
myself. And I think that's what's important. Pacing yourself, trying to pace yourself. It's really hard. It
mm,
really is difficult because I think, when you think about what you have missed and what you have not had a chance to achieve because of sickle cell disorder and the effect it's had on you, when you are good and when you are well, you want to
mm,
try and fit
mm,
all of it in. But you still have to remember you have to pace yourself. It's so important. I mean, I struggle now. So I'm giving this advice, but I struggle to do it. But it is so important. But you can do it. You just have to be hard on yourself. Pace yourself. Say what is important. What is the most important? What is the thing that I don't have to really do? Maybe I need to woe down a lot of the voluntary stuff that I'm doing because a lot of the other stuff that I'm doing, I have to get a balance. It's all about getting a balance and making sure you feed your husband because it's easy for you to say I'm doing everything, but you're forgetting about the other things that you
yeah.
need to do. But I think it's important to share with the people around you exactly what you can do and what you can't do, and your capabilities in the moment of how you're feeling.
Wow. It's just like you're just getting it from my brain because I was just about to say, okay, uh, pacing yourself out when you are at 40 and you're still doing things that people at like 20 have gone past, and you feel like, oh, life is running past so fast, and I have to
Mm,
catch up,
yeah.
and it seems to be like something impossible to pace yourself. But you said something that's really key. Like you have your list, and it's not about like rushing, but it's about getting each one done and knowing that you've
Yes.
done it. How has life been at work? There are times when people with sickle cell wouldn't want to let their employers know that this is who they are and this is what they can do or can't do because they feel saying that might get them unemployed or treated differently.
Mm.
How has the experience
Yes, I hear
been
you.
for you? You spoke about letting people around you know just what you can do or what you can't do so that you don't choke yourself up in the fight of
Right.
wanting to be like everybody else. So how has it been for you at the place of work?
So first and foremost, what I will say is, and I think that this is something that I really want to emphasize on this podcast today. Sickle cell, I was born with sickle cell. I was diagnosed at 3 years old. Sickle cell did define me at that time. Yeah. And then when the realization of, hold on, I'm more than sickle cell. I can do this, I can do that. I started looking at all the things that I could do and meeting a partner and realizing that, hold on, somebody
Mm-hmm.
loves me who's not even in my circle, who knows nothing about me, you know, somebody who didn't even know that I had sickle cell. it made me realize that first and foremost, I am Laurel. Before I am Laurel with anything, I am Laurel. And the importance is to work on yourself, work on your confidence, work on all the things that you, because you know what? Sickle cell warriors are
Yeah.
beautiful people. That's what I've learned. Every single warrior that I have met, no matter what age they are, they have a beauty that shines from within them. It's like a glorious light. It's a beauty. And I think what we have to do first and foremost is to do things that help us to gain our confidence. When I went into my job for an interview, there was four other people interviewing with me, but I went in there believing that I could do what I was going in there to do. I sold myself. That's what I basically did. I basically sold myself. I didn't sell my sickle cell. My sickle cell was the last thing on the agenda. I sold myself as a person, and I sold my gifts and what I was capable of doing. And it's only when the interview was finished and the headmaster said, we would like to offer you the job. At the time, I was having monthly exchange transfusions, and I had not told them this before I interviewed. I told them, I did declare on my form that I had sickle cell disorder. And the headmaster, when I told him at the interview, the only thing that I will have to say is that I need to have 2 days off a month for my exchange transfusion and recovery because I've got sickle cell disorder. His words were, I don't know anything about sickle cell disorder, but as long as you can come in and do your work and get your work done, we want to still offer you the job. It's not always that way for everybody. I understand. I've heard other people's situations is not the same, but I think first and foremost, if I had not worked on myself, I would not have got that job.
So, message is, warriors, we need to work on ourselves and know,
Yeah.
like pick on our strengths. Like, just like we
Yes.
are like everybody else. Um, so we need to
Yes.
work on ourselves just like everybody else, and then know that this is how we have to plan our time to make sure that we can actually do that job. And sickle cell or no sickle cell,
Yes.
we are able to deliver, and that makes them to accept us as we are.
Definitely, definitely. And I think also a lot of people tend not to declare that they've got sickle cell when they go for a job. I've never, and I never would do that. I never have, and I never will do it. Sickle cell is part of me. It does not define who I am. Of course, there's times where, please understand, I was in that job for 20 years, but I was hospitalized. I was on transfusion for 30 years, and I was hospitalized several times, but my workplace understood that I had sickle cell. And I think it's very, very important that the workplace definitely, this is why we have to continue to raise awareness 100%. So that we're raising awareness for employers. We're raising awareness everywhere. And that's what I'm doing now. Now that I'm not in employment, I want to work with raising awareness in education, in school, even in the government. That is my job now. That is my purpose now.
Wow. Oh, so you have also been working on a book project to depict sickle cell disorder to children. So how has that been going, and why that need?
Right. So you remember we said that thing. Remember I said
Yeah.
that thing about the list. That's one of the things on my list that has been on my list for years. Yeah. So it's one that hasn't been ticked off. It has been started, and it's still a work in progress. And I did this. I started this book in 1985. Would you believe it? Because it was I use my art as a way, as a kind of therapy. And it was my way of getting through all them horrendous crises that I was experiencing. And it's about me. I'm the character in the book. And it's just showing my journey of going to the hospital, experiencing a crisis, the doctor explaining what's happening and why it's happening. And, at the end of the story, the character gets better and goes home. And it's just one of those things that I will do it. I definitely have given myself, my deadline is December, because what's happened is I've had so much different work happening in between it that it always goes on hold. But I will do it because I think it's important for the youngsters to even see that me, a 61-year-old. I created this book. This book was the storyline was created in 1985, and that was when sickle cell was very really unheard of. And you know, I'm still going to do it, but I'm just tweaking it. I'm tweaking it, but I will do it. It's something, like I said, it's on the list. It keeps getting, for some reason, it keeps getting pushed to the bottom of the list because other things are getting done before it. But it's a dream that I will do. It's something that I will do. Watch this space because it
So,
will be done. I did an animal alphabet book for children, nothing to do with sickle cell, but I did that when I was recovering from my hip replacement operation. So that's my first book that I've done, but this one will definitely get done. It's one and this is an example why put things on your list. They may take you years, but they're still on your list.
so you don't get diverted and you don't get to forget it. It's
It's
always
always there. The
there,
thing is, it's
and
always it's
as the years
always
go
there.
by, you kind of
And
refine and
yes,
redefine,
yes, that is
eventually it's
exactly
there in front of you.
that is exactly what's happening. Every so often, I pick it up. So there will be a quiet period where people haven't, because people are come and ask me, "Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this?" And I find it hard to say no. And when I do say no, and I have that period where it's just really quiet, then I pick up my book. So it is getting
Okay.
there. It's not that it hasn't been touched from 1985. I think the last time I did the book was most probably in January. I picked it up last week and looked at it and said, right, I need to do some more. So I'm doing it. I'm going back and forth to it. It's in progress. It's just that it's not something I'm working on its own. If I was working on it on its own by myself, I would have done it long time. But it's because lots of different I've lots of different hats I'm wearing where I'm taking part in this, I'm helping with research, I'm doing
Yeah.
this, I'm doing that. That's the reason why it keeps getting, but it's gonna get done. It will get
So
done.
there
Get
is
done.
a community, or let me say, there are several voices within the sickle cell community that are thinking that even in the curriculum of children in schools, as way young as early primary, that sickle cell education should be in like some sort of a course. Being in education,
Oh,
what do you
100%.
think about that?
Oh, yes, definitely. And even at this moment, I mean, I don't want to disclose everything to you about what's happening in the sickle cell community because I think some of them I'm not supposed to. But there's a lot of work. There is so much work going on to do with, for example, like you're saying, at the moment, there's a project that's just being created to work with education. And education from primary education to secondary to university, you know, to make things easier for a child actually being at school and living with sickle cell disorder. So there's things that are being implemented, and this is one of the things that I will be. These are the things that I get involved in and get on board with, especially because I've worked in education. I know what it feels like. So there are things in the pipeline that are being done to make things better. It's just that with sickle cell, everything just takes time. Everything just seems really long. As with other illnesses, they just get done much quicker than what they do with sickle cell disorder. But it doesn't mean that we should give up. We have to keep working towards all those things.
Okay, so you had mentioned in your on LinkedIn that you regretted having to stop part of the work you were doing, encouraging students. So, what do you think can be done by employers and also policy leaders that can help many people living with sickle cell disease to get the kind of tailored care they need that permits them to give the best of themselves at their places of work and not be maybe forced to leave maybe too soon?
Um, I'll be honest with you. So 20 years in the workplace, for me, even when I was taking ill health retirement, I remember occupational health saying, that's amazing. So I believe that me being in work for 20 years was amazing. And I worked with, because I worked with a high school, I obviously worked with people who were very aware of sickle cell disorder. Some of the students in the school had sickle cell disorder. But definitely the workplace has to have, there has to be documents within a workplace that raises awareness of sickle cell so that the employers know about sickle cell. And I think this is something that is being worked on as well at the moment. That I think the most important thing to do with education, to do with government, is just raising awareness. Unless we continue raising awareness and we put documents in place for the workplace and for the government to realize that this is what is needed, to let them know that somebody with sickle cell disorder can still hold down a job, but these are the things that have to be put into place for them. So regular breaks for workers. Air conditioning is a big one as well. Air conditioning in the workplace. The amount of time I fought with caretakers to say, please, can you switch off the air conditioning in my space? And trying to explain to them why, because I had to advocate for myself. All these kind of things, a document should be in every single workplace that describes the needs of a sickle cell patient, but not in a way where it puts them off employing you, just in a way that you're employing this person, but please allow for these little things to allow the person to be the best that they can at what they're doing. That's what you're really telling them. And I think that's important. I think it's really, really important. So I have to say, although I regret having to leave my job, I was in an education establishment that really was brilliant when it came to my care with sickle cell. Amazing. And even when I was the one that decided to take ill health, not them, it was because I felt that everything was too much for me. And at the moment, I suffer from severe fatigue. So I couldn't keep up with I only worked 3 days a week. I only worked 7.5 hours a day, but it still was too much. So I think, I'll be honest with you, I think even if there was things in place at my workplace at that time that encouraged me to stay, I think it was time for me to
So
go.
employers should put those little things that will make people living with sickle cell be the best they can. It's just
Yeah.
incidentally making me to remember a topic I had just a while ago with a few friends on should
Mm.
um, the same kinds of things that is done for persons living with disabilities be done for people living with sickle cell disease, because we were in a debate wondering, should sickle cell disease be considered as a disability or not? And and the place of work,
Oh yeah.
how
Yeah, a
should
hundred
that be
percent.
approached? What would you say if if you had that kind were in such a conversation?
No, do you know, I believe 100%, I believe. I didn't, it's only the other day that I realized that the government doesn't actually recognize sickle cell disorder as a disability, which I think is horrendous, absolutely horrendous, because it is a disability. If you look up what a disability entails and what it means, it is a disability. And as far as I'm concerned, it should be recognized. It should be recognized as a disability. And I think that's the reason why a lot of employers don't recognize it as a disability, because it doesn't come on this, it doesn't come on the disability list. So although we know it's disabling, and although a lot of the workplaces understand that it is a disability, it's not legally, it's not known as a disability. And I do believe that it is, and it should be recognized as a disability. There's people, you think about people who go in the workplace and they have things like recognized illnesses like epilepsy and off my head I can't think of cancer, cystic fibrosis. They're all recognized disabilities and people are working with it and living with it. So I don't understand why sickle cell wouldn't be given that title, because it's a chronic disorder. It's a disability. When you have a crisis or when you suffer from complications or things that cause you to not go to work, they're disabling. It's a disability. So I can't see why you would think otherwise, unless you're in denial that it even exists.
we haven't touched the part of you being a wife and a mom. How has life been in on that angle? Being a wife, raising a family, working. What would you say might have to be done? Now let's focus on just ladies. For ladies living with
Yes.
sickle cell disease,
Yes.
raising families, what would you advise, first of all, if I should start that way, advise to younger ladies who, first of all, just think it's not possible? And how would you encourage them to go along that path of ladies, warriors, yet wives, mothers, career women?
Okay, so that's a big one. That's an absolutely big one. But a lot of what we've discussed before, and a lot of the way that I've approached things is a lot of it's the same that I've approached it within relationship and marriage. I think, like I said, the key to it all is to work on yourself. You know, you imagine if you work on yourself, it's like, all right, then, let's put it in a different way. It's like having a product. Yeah. So you've got this product and you want to sell this product, and people are going to look at this product. This product has to be beautiful. It has to be able to hold things. It's supposed to be able to do what the person who is selling this product is saying that it can do. Okay. And in the back of this product, there's like a couple of holes, and this product is supposed to hold stuff in, but something seep out slowly. And so this product, although this product does what it's supposed to do, it's not as efficient as it should be. But instead of throwing the product away, you work on the product. You work to fix the product. Even if the hole still keeps appearing, you keep making sure you fill that hole so the product works sometimes, but sometimes the product doesn't work as efficient. And the person decides, I'm going to buy this product because this product is working. It takes a little bit more harder work, but it's working. And I think with me, I never thought, if anybody told me that I would be married, I actually am going to be celebrating my 28th year of marriage on the 19th of July. If anybody told me that I was going to be married, I was going to have children, I was going to have grandchildren, I would have told them that they're dreaming, not in this life. You navigate everything that you navigate it knowing in the background that you have sickle cell disorder. So when you meet somebody, the first thing you need to do obviously is let them be aware of your genotype and find out their genotype. That's the first and foremost thing that I did. And then you have to explain to your partner, you have to educate your partner, you have to raise awareness to your partner, you have to let your partner know that this is me, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do, and things change. So you have to raise awareness to your partner, you have to raise awareness to your children, you have to raise, like I said in the beginning, you have to raise awareness to all the people that are going to be around you in your life that need to be aware, so that when, for example, now, I mean, I am married to a wonderful man, and there's times where I even go to cook dinner, and my husband will turn around and say to me, you don't have to cook today. There's food left from yesterday. Maybe because he can see I'm tired, or maybe because I've said for about the 100th time I'm really tired. And that's what the beauty is. If the person loves you, if a person loves you, a person's going to love you with everything. No matter what you're going through, that person is going to love you. And you know what? The truth of the matter, to all those people out there, people with sickle cell disorder are lovable. We're maybe not the nicest of people when we're going through a crisis, because
Yeah.
because we're experiencing such trauma, and sometimes it comes out in a way where you have no control. But sickle cell people with sickle cell disability can have a fulfilling life, can get married, can be loved. The one thing I will say, that's one thing I didn't rush to do. I wasn't in a hurry. I wasn't in a hurry to be married and settle down, because I needed to find the person that I knew would accept me with, and that's important, that you find the person that will accept you and love you for who you are. And the fact that you are living with a chronic disorder is really important. But you know what? I am an example of it can be done,
Wow.
100%.
So, if you were to mentor a young, let's say a lady with sickle cell disease and
Hmm.
who has lived the lives that we know that comes through with, you know, psychologically being told you are not, first of all, going to live past 18, past 5, past 7, past
Yeah,
this age, the time limit that you get as you grow, and who maybe have
yeah.
succeeded, but still meets that, oh, you can't do this, or you can't do that, and the you can't of the past
Hmm.
have so blocked them that they think, I just can't do anything. what what would you,
Mm.
as somebody who's been in education, and you told me that you've worked with those children who were told they can't have grades. Now you have a young person, maybe a young
Yeah,
lady
yeah.
with sickle cell who's been done, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to career, when it comes to life, you can have grades. How would you mentor them?
I think mentoring, I'm gonna say first, I think mentoring is a really difficult thing, because I think first and foremost, that person that you're mentoring has already got all the things within their head, or their mindset is already a certain way. And I think the best way to mentor is to almost try and get that young person to go back into their head and mentally tackle the things and the reasons why they feel that they can't achieve. And I think the mindset is so important. I think the way we speak within ourselves and to ourselves is so important. And I think actually believing that where there is hope, there is definitely life is an important thing that I would say. Every negative thought, every negative feeling is turned into a positive. I think straight away that is one of the ways to go. I think also, if I was mentoring, I think I'm an example. My actually lived life experiences is an example. If I was mentoring that young girl, I would take that young girl through my journey. I would take that young girl through my journey from the struggles at primary, the struggles at teenagehood, the struggles at with work, the struggles with university, the struggles in a marriage, the struggles with children. I would take that child or that woman on my journey with me, because I think it's, if somebody is telling you what they've experienced and they're taking you on their journey, that is the best way for you to actually see, you know, somebody asked me a question of how I
Mm,
dealt with my first relationship, or how I dealt with, how did I deal with going to a party when I was younger and drinking
mm,
alcohol? How did it affect me? How did I end up, I ended up in hospital on some occasions because I didn't hydrate myself enough and I was drinking. I mean, I've done the journey that a lot of people do that they don't think I've done because I don't speak about it all. Or 61 years there's a lot of things to speak about. But I would share my life experience with that person. I would take that person on my journey.
wow. So I didn't get to ask that question. How did you experience that first relationship?
Oh my word. Oh my word. I think, one thing about me
Oh,
when I was growing
okay.
up
I
is
think
I was
I was
not
the only
interested in
one.
boys at all. I wasn't. I, no, I wasn't. And I think I'm sure that a lot of people with sickle cell disorder, especially females, will identify with this. You're so busy looking after yourself, and not even looking after yourself. You're so busy dealing with crisis that you have no space in your life for little boys. I thought little boys were just annoying, although I had, although, and the thing is, I had two brothers, and my brother, bless him, was, especially one of my brothers, bless him, was like a girl. We grew up with him. My other brother didn't grow up with us at first, so we grew up with him, and he just accommodated us as girls.
Mm,
So whatever we did, he played along with it. And I didn't see a relationship with a male as something that I would have other than having a brother. So when I had my first relationship, I was absolutely, I'll be honest with you, I was astounded that I even liked a boy. And I was more astounded that a boy would like me. And I think that was when I first realized that, do you know what? Even with sickle cell disorder, I am lovable. Yeah. Somebody loves me for being me. With all my faults, with all the painful crises that I went through, I still had somebody sitting by my side who happened to be a male who was not my mother, my father, or my siblings. And I think yeah, I think it made me feel good. It makes you feel good when somebody even somebody just recognizing you for and loving you for who you are. I think that's really important. It's really, really important to be loved for who you are. And that's that, you asked me a question about parents, what parents can do for their children and what we can all do. I think what we can all do, we can all, and I can't emphasize it, until you start loving yourself and being proud of yourself and embracing the person that you are, even with all the trauma that you're going through, all the pain that you're going through. Yeah, but embracing yourself as who you are, then that's the first part of the job done. If you can do that, you're on your way to success and in living your life,
Wow.
comfortable in yourself, comfortable in your skin, comfortable in the person that you are is so, so important. And that's the reason why I say that my faith is so important to me, because it's through my faith that
Yeah.
I've come to realize who I am and what my purpose is. And I think that's beautiful. It's beautiful to know that, don't think when I'm talking, it doesn't mean that I don't get low days and I don't get depressed and I don't think, God, this is tough. Of course, I'm still human. But I try to always say to people, including my mother, because my mother is still alive and my mother still lives with sickle beta thalassemia at 83 years old, always put
Yeah.
into the atmosphere the positive. If we
Yeah, it's of
speak, if we keep letting negativity come out, negativity breeds negativity. But when you start focusing and putting positive, I am beautiful. I am a beautiful person and I can do all things through him who lives in me. It might take
yeah, I
longer.
get that.
It might take longer than the other person, but you know what? I can do it.
Wow.
I can do it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I can do it.
That is an excellent final takeaway, and thank you so much, Laura, for accepting this invitation to be a guest on Sickle Cell Role Models and Mentors, and I hope that at the end of it all, we get to see that change that we want to see, and as we are working to be the
Yes.
change that we want to see. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That's it for our third edition of the podcast Sickle Cell Role Models and Mentors. We hope you did like it and that you've been able to take notes and learn from our role model and mentor, Laura Bromont Palmer. See you next month for another edition of your podcast. Until then, take care and God bless you.
Yeah.